how to cram all of Lit Paper 2 before the exam. Now, if you're panicking, you didn't do as well in Lit Paper 1, you want to still bag a good grade in Lit Paper 2. I don't care how you did in Paper 1, it's all still to grab. This paper is worth more marks, so we're going to absolutely smash it. I'm going to show you exactly step by step how to do it. If you watch this video, I promise you're going to be sorted in terms of what you need to know. Firstly, poetry. Dreaded poetry. I'm going to break it down to make it really easy so you could cover the whole of poetry in about 90 minutes. So firstly, you want to know 5 key poems that link to all of the themes. So you want to choose a poem that can answer any comparison question across the cluster. So we want to know 5 poems in depth that will compare against anything else, because we don't have time to learn all 15 in depth, and you don't need to either. So we're going to choose our 5 key poems. For example, if we go on the last minute revision section for power and conflict poetry on LiveHub, you can see these are the 5 key poems I recommend my students learn. London, Exposure, Check Out Me History, Kamikaze and Ozymandias. That's because I teach my students a specific acronym, and I know that this links to the key the acronym and can link to any other poem or question that comes up. Then for each of your 5 key poems, I want you to know the overall message, 1 piece of context, 1 piece of form, and 2 quotes per poem. So when I say overall message, it's kind of like, what is a summary of the whole poem? We're looking at like I hear, what is a high level summary? I can use grade 9 keywords and ideas. So this basically gives me a framework of everything I need to know a poem. Now we want to know 1 piece of context for each poem that could link to any idea. So normally about the poet or about the time, you want to make sure this links to your overall message. And then you want to know 1 piece of form. Now form is just how it looks on the page. So for example, stanza lengths and rhyme. Stanzas is like the poetry paragraphs, but we call them stanza lengths. And rhyme is a good example of that. This one here, for example, with Ozymandias, like I'm showing you, the reason why I want you to pre-learn 1 piece of form is so then in the exam, you don't need to spot it. Like you're not going to be able to spot in the exam or know that, oh, Ozymandias, oh yeah, it was a Petrarchan and Shakespearean sonnet. We want to pre-learn that in the what, how, why structure. What is the effect of the technique? How does it show it? And why? And that is the exact same for your 2 quotes you're going to learn. So you're going to use 2 quotes for each of the poems, again, using the what, how, why framework. But you want to make sure this analysis is summarise short, because you're not going to be able to remember loads and loads of analysis for all these different quotes and all these different poems. We want to make sure we've got the critical information that we know gets us the grade. And a little top tip as well, I highly recommend doing the overall summaries. So you can just quickly go back to a poem and be like, okay, cool. I know that my overall summary for Ozymandias, just memorize it in a few words. I know, okay, my piece of context is a romantic poet. I know that it's a sonnet form. So you can kind of have an overall summary, because obviously there's 15 different poems. So we want to kind of be able to summarize it in like 30-second chunks. I want to understand how your 5 poems link to each other. So we want to basically be able to understand, I want you to have a comparison matrix, which basically means a comparison table that has your key themes in it and has your different poems, where you go, okay, based on this key theme, this is how it linked to one of my other 10 poems. Because obviously you've got 5 key poems, then you've got your other 10. So we need to know, based on the key theme, how would it link back to one of my 5 key poems? Now you can get a comparison matrix. I'm sure your teacher's given it to you. There's one on the LightUp Hub if you want it, or you can get it from Google, wherever you need to get it from. I want you just to know though, how it links back to your 5 key poems. Then you want to have a comparison structure ready, and you want a pre-learner structure that weaves both poems together, not separately. This is massive. We want to make sure we're comparing them in the same paragraph, because that will get you more marks. And this is the one thing that most students kind of get wrong with poetry. They spend a lot of time learning all of the poems, but they don't spend any time working on how to actually write it up. And when I say write it up, it doesn't mean you have to write up a full essay each time. I'm just going to show you an example. Like if you just wrote up 1 paragraph and got feedback on that, then that still gives you an indication of like, what are you missing when you're comparing them? Like, okay, I did this really well. I've got a good comparison. I've got good techniques. This is where most students miss marks. I should probably know that, but this is what I could improve. So what we're going to be looking at is obviously we want to learn our 5 key poems in depth, because that's the most important bit, but we will be learning a comparison structure and how we would actually tie that together, because that is where most students lose marks in poetry. And for the other 10 poems, we want 1 overall message, 1 context and 1 form. So we don't need to know quotes for this one, because we want to know our 5 key poems in depth, but we still want to know the overall message, because that will help us apply it to any quote we get given in the exam. So we're not going to pre-learn quotes analysis, you're going to kind of do that on the spot, but because you would have pre-learned the overall message, then you can just literally learn about implying them. Cool. Now let's look at unseen poetry, because I know that this is the one that you guys struggle a lot with. So what we want to do is we want to know your structure for analysing an unseen poem. So we want to basically have a quick way to understand what it's about and how to pick out ideas. So in the same way that you would pre-learn a quote for literature, I want you to pre-learn a way that each time you analyze an unseen poem, because that is what unseen poetry is. It is skill-based, which means you must revise the skill of doing it rather than the content. So when I say a skill is like how to actually pull things out of an unseen poem. That's the thing you revise for. And that's what most students get wrong for both English language or unseen poetry. Because they can't learn the content, they assume they can't learn anything. But you can still learn the skill on how to do it, and that will get you marks. Because remember, guys, unseen poetry is worth 32 marks. That's actually worth more than a full essay. So that's why it's all up for grabs. If you can learn the skill of it, you're going to be boosted. For example, we want a literal step-by-step structure. For example, like I would know that the first thing I do when I get an unseen poem is I'm going to summarize what each stanza means. So stanza just means like a paragraph, that's what we call it in poetry. And I'm going to write that down next to the side of it to help me understand the poem. So again, this is just one technique that I use and I teach my students, but you should have a little structure of what you can tick off each time. Then in terms of an actual structure, like how you should structure your paragraphs, I want you to do one paragraph on language, one paragraph on structure, and one paragraph on form. So when I say language, it means language techniques. So things like connotations, imagery, plosives, metaphors, similes. Language techniques most of you are really confident with. So we're going to theme our paragraph. We'll do paragraph number 1 on language. Now paragraph number 2, I'm going to do on structure. Now structure is like what is going on within the lines. You're normally used to analysing structure for literature being like, sentence length or punctuation. But for poetry, we have specific techniques that we can use for both form and structure that are very specific to poems. So for example, structure, I have enjambment. Enjambment is no punctuation at the end of the line. So then I would be like, okay, cool. I know that when I pick out enjambment, I can then understand my structure techniques. And then the last one is form. So form is how it looks on the page. So i.e. stanza lengths. So we don't call it paragraphs in poetry, we call it stanzas. So kind of looking at the different stanza lengths is an example of form. So you want to basically have a list of techniques that you can link to language, structure and form that you can pick out. And again, that will be really helpful linking to the first bit, because if you then know a list of techniques, then you can have and embed that into your structure and how to analyze. And that's always how I teach it. I always teach on LightUp. You want to have your techniques, you want to learn the effects of the techniques, and then you want to put it into this structure, which takes me on to the next bit. For unseen poetry, we want to pre-learn techniques for each paragraph and their effects. So for example, connotations, I would know, it connotes emotional weight. So if I'm ever thinking of connotations, I'm thinking about, okay, what emotion or idea is this associated with? Enjambment, one of the effects of enjambment is I know that it's ongoing, because obviously there's no punctuation in the line, it shows the line is ongoing. So then I would link it to enjambment is ongoing, and then I'd link it to the poem showing that X idea is ongoing, that love is ongoing, or grief is ongoing. That's how I'd link it. And then stanza lengths, one of the effects I could pre-learn is it either shows control or chaos. So for example, if the stanzas are all the same length, let's say for example they're all 3 lines, 3 lines, 3 lines, it could show control. And then again, I would link it to whatever the poem's about. If the poem is about love, maybe it shows that the speaker is trying to control their love, or shows that they're trying to have a sense of control. Or if the stanzas were all different, maybe one was 4, one was 3, one was 2, one was 1, they were different lengths, that could show chaos. And again, I would link it to whatever the poem is about. Does that show that love is chaotic, that love is unpredictable, or time is unpredictable, you can't control it? Whatever the poem is about, if you learn the effect of the technique, you can then apply it. So something I like is to have technique sheets, but particularly for poetry. Language ones, but poetry is specific, because obviously there are very specific things within poetry that we could look at, like what is a couplet, a dramatic monologue, and knowing the effect of them then means that we can pre-learn that effect, and then we can put it directly into our response, and then we're just adapting it to whatever the unseen poem is about for your set text. So this is what I want you to know before the exam, and again, if you know this, I promise you'll be absolutely sorted. So what you want to know is 1 to 3 quotes per key character. So quotes should cover key themes so they can answer any question that comes up. I want you to have key quotes for the characters that firstly link to multiple key themes. So for example, they're not all about guilt, or they weren't all about responsibility, and they're also from different parts of the play or text that you're doing. So let's, for example, we're looking at Mr. Burling. So if I go on his lesson for last minute revision, this is one of my quotes I have for him. And you can see the other quotes that I'm going to learn, they're from different parts. I've got some in Act 3, I've got some in Act 1, which allows me to have a comparison change for the character. Then we're going to know the what, how, why for each quote. Now, this is the same as I showed you for poetry, but this is so important for English literature. You get your most marks on your analysis. And whenever I say analyse, you must do 3 things. You must say, what is the effect of the technique? How does it show it? And why does it say that? And it's important as well that this is condensed. You're not waffling too much because you won't be able to remember this all. You want to make sure it's high level and things that actually get the marks. For example, here, I can see, let me just cover myself up so I'm not distracting you double time. You can see here, I've got my technique and I've got my what, how, why. What does the technique do? So what does the theatrical pause do? How does it show it? And why does it show that? So basically think about how and why. How is like what it literally shows. And then why is your reason behind it? Now what most students do is they just focus on the how, but they don't tell me the why. So remember, like I said earlier, treat the examiner as an idiot and give me your reason behind that. How do you know that his ideological conditioning runs so deep that it produces a physical revulsion? Because I know that because he's been brainwashed by capitalism. He literally stops when he's speaking. That's how I know that. So we want to treat the examiner like an idiot. And we want to do that for our key quotes, for your 1 to 3 key quotes for each key character. Again, we want to make sure they're linked to multiple key themes. Because, for example, this one here, this is a good quote. I know it links to multiple key themes because I could link it to responsibility. I could link it to social class. I can link it to capitalism. It's a very broad quote that can link to multiple questions. And then you want to know 4 to 6 key themes as an acronym, because this will help you write up your essay. So for example, for Inspector Calls, I always teach my Live Hub students do SCROG, which stands for Social Class, Capitalism, Responsibility, Older versus Young Generation, and Gender. That's a good one for an Inspector Calls. If you know that key theme, then again, you'll make sure that you pick quotes that link to that key theme, and you'll be able to link it to the key theme in the exam. And then the same goes for context. We're going to have about 4 to 6 pieces of context as an acronym that can link context directly to your quotes, because context without evidence scores nothing. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is we've got 4 to 6 pieces of context that we can be constantly using, because that means that when we get into the exam, we pick out our quote and we think, okay, which of my 4 to 6 pieces of context would this link best to? And it just means we're just condensing everything down way more. And then lastly, our analytical paragraph structure. Now this is for lit text. This wouldn't be for poetry, this wouldn't be for unseen poetry. They're slightly different structures, but this is just for literature text. It's our PETA-ETA core paragraph structure, which stands for point, evidence, technique, analysis, evidence, technique, analysis, context, rights, intentions. Because one of the most important things, again, like I said with poetry and with literature, it's all good knowing the ideas, but we want to be able to tie it together. Now, some of you might use pill, and you're like, okay, but why shouldn't I use pill? Why don't you like pill? I don't mind pill, but it is harder to get a top grade with pill because you're only doing point, evidence, explain, and link. You're not doing all of the things needed to get a top grade. So for example, we need to layer in multiple bits of analysis. So you can see I've got analysis twice in a paragraph. We need to make sure we're putting in context. We need to make sure we're putting in rights, intentions. We need to make sure we have a point. Point, just so we know as well, because everyone always asks me this, point is the same as thesis statement or topic sentence. It means the same thing. It's just about like, how are you introducing your idea in the paragraph? That's what a point is. So we want to make sure we know this structure, but we also have a little tick list of what do we do in each part of the structure to make sure we're actually doing it properly. Because again, we want to make sure that we're tying our ideas together, because you can't just get a top grade easily just by learning the ideas. It's how it links together. So let's say, for example, we go on the Inspector Calls essay marker. We can have a little look at the different sentence starters we could use. So let's say, for example, we were doing our point. So I want some help. You can see I'd use these sentence starters, and this is my little checklist. So then for each part of the structure that I'm doing, I'm like, okay, cool. This is my checklist. This is what I'd write up. I can watch the video with the example, let's say, for example, what I wanted to do, and then I'd write that in. And then that makes sure that I'm doing every single part. Like context, like so many of you guys struggle with context. You want to have a checklist of how do you link in your context? How do you make sure you don't just bolt it on? And that will make sure you get a top grade. And then so to be really clear on how this would look, we want to have an introduction, which is kind of an overall, you introduce your main idea. You want to have 3 PETA-ETA core paragraphs. So you want to do 3 of those in the structure I just showed you. Again, I want to have my little sentence starters for each, so I know, okay, this is how I actually write a point. This is how I analyze. I want to have that little tick list. And then I want to do 1 conclusion. That is what I want to do. I want to do intro, 3 of those to conclusion, and that is a perfect structure for your literature paragraphs. Like I said, poetry, unseen poetry is slightly different because we have to do like different things to get the marks based on the mark scheme, but this is everything we need to do. So guys, best of luck for your exam. You're going to absolutely smash it, and I look forward to hearing how you all have done. See you later.